Hi everybody and welcome to video number 52 in my EFT series. And before I start, I would ask you to take responsibility for your own well-being if you decide to tap along, and also wash your hands, especially if you tap on the face points. So as we are here during all the Christmas period and end of the year, I thought it might be a good idea to do a video for expectations, and it could be your expectations of the new year or expectation of the festive period. And you know, when I was young, I always had great expectations of the festive times of Christmas, because I love Christmas and I was looking forward to Christmas. And then at the end, when all the presents were opened, I was feeling very empty and very flat, you know, sort of like, oh no, I've got, you know, that's all gone. And so as I went through my life, I kind of learned to connect more to myself. And I wouldn't say exactly lower my expectations, but I just, you know, had these expectations from life, you know, because what we do through our lives when we are born, this is us. It's like, this is I am. And then as we are growing up and we are influenced by those around us, we start to have fears. The fear of, oh, I fear, am I good enough? Am I going to be up to all expectations? And what we do is that we start to fear. So that kind of I am is kind of hidden in that fear. And what we do more is to comply with all expectations of other people. We then put on another kind of mask on top of that. And these are the kind of masks we put on so that we kind of, people approve of us and all the rest. And so it looks a little bit like that. And as we keep tapping along, we're kind of tuning in to all these fears which we have, all these kind of, personas, masks we put up, because we want to try to go back to discover ourselves. And especially for those of you who are creative, to be able to create from the bottom of our heart. So for example, you know, I could have expectations of this video, and it's been quite tough because it's raining, the weather wasn't very good, but also there are people, you know, who will judge it, and there will be my mom who will say, oh, you do this. She's very critical, and while it's good for me to take kind of advantage of taking the feedback, most of it, you know, I've learned to just ignore, because most of the time my mum is just critical and it's not helpful. And we are going all the way back to me when I was young, and when I was putting up all these kind of barriers on top, because you know, I needed to feel approved, to be loved, and to be approved I needed to do well. And then you come to the stage when you start to overachieve, you work too hard and all the rest. And so, you know, as I went through my life, the expectations which others had of me, I dropped them and I learned to connect to myself. So let's just do a bit of tapping to help you do the same. So it's not much to it, just tune in to your expectations, the expectations you have for the new year, and replace them with your own words, because I'll just be as general as possible. But as I said, or I'll see how it is for me, but you put in what expectations you've got, you know, of the new year or of the festive season or whatever it is you want to work on. Okay, so even though I've got all these expectations for the new year, an expectation for the festive period, I love and accept myself anyway. There we are, I made another twist of a tongue. I said even accept, I said expect. So yeah, EFT is about acceptance where we are. So we are not going to push all these layers straight away. We are going to welcome them and say all these, whatever there is behind it. And hopefully the EFT tapping will help you with that. So even though I've got all these expectations of the new year, I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I've got all these expectations of me doing my New Year's resolutions, well, I abandoned my New Year's resolutions already in January. So how does that stand with my expectations for the new year and for my resolutions? But I love and accept myself anyway. Okay, so at the top of the head, expectations for the new year. Expectations for me to fulfill all these New Year's resolutions. I have not even fulfilled my New Year's resolutions from last year. So how am I expect to fulfill my New Year's resolutions this year? All these expectations. I expect too much of me. And then I'm hard on myself. I beat myself up because I do not fulfill my New Year's resolutions, or any resolutions I make. Am I just too lazy or what? All these New Year's resolutions, it's just too much. All these New Year's resolutions and expectations. Okay, so if you put your hand on your heart center and just tune in when you are tapping on your New Year's expectations, what keeps coming up for you? So as we tapped, for me, an enormous amount of overwhelm came up. So see what comes up for you. Give it a rating between 0, it doesn't bother me at all, or 10. It's very, it's very large. It's very high, and just tune in and see what your number is. So I will get myself number of 8 or 9 for the overwhelm I feel regarding the expectations or the pressure I put on myself for the new year. Okay, so let's start tapping the second round. So even though I've got all this overwhelm, and it's number 8, and you add in whatever it is for you, it could be fear, it could be any other emotion, just tap on that. I love and accept myself anyway. Even though I've got all this overwhelm regarding my New Year's resolutions, all this overwhelm regarding achieving the goals I set for myself, and I never do, but I love and accept myself anyway. So even though I've got all this overwhelm, when I start to think about my New Year's expectations, I start to think of what I have not achieved last year, I love and accept myself anyway. So let's just step on that overwhelm, and whatever comes up for you, just step on that. All this overwhelm, all this enormous overwhelm. Overwhelm about all the things I want to achieve. So there is this hopeless mess or junk inside my home, which is overwhelming. And there is me wanting to write children's stories, which overwhelms me. And it's all this junk around the house. I can't focus. I struggle to let go of all this junk. And then I struggle with clarity around my writing. Letting go of all this overwhelm. Letting go of all this junk. But I've got no energy for that. I just have no energy to clear all my junk, or no energy to write my children's stories. Just letting go of all this overwhelm. Allows me to let go of all that junk. And with that, I'm letting go of all the expectations I have around writing my children's stories. All this weight being lifted from my shoulders. So now if you feel anything anywhere in your body, tap on that. So I'm feeling all this weight on my shoulders. I feel so heavy. So if there is a feeling you feel around in your body, or just tap on that. So all this heaviness in my shoulders, all this heavy feeling in my shoulders. Just letting go of all that heavy feeling in my shoulders. All that is weighing me down. Yeah, I don't need all my junk, it only weighs me down. I can let go of all that does not serve me. Letting go of all this overwhelm. Letting go of all these worries that I'm not good enough. What if I focus on creating from the bottom of my heart? What if I can connect to the real me? What's inside? So what I'm doing is, oh dear, and I can't find it. I'm connecting to the light inside me. So all that light inside me, if I create from that light, I will enjoy what I do. I can write just because I love writing. And I can let go of all the judgments around it. Just doing it for the love. Just because I enjoy. Just connecting to the love, to the light all that light. Yellow, you can put whichever color it is that is helping you. Whatever light there is inside of you, just connect to that light and let that come in at the top of your head. Let that light come inside. So just continue tapping and connect to the love and the light. And as you're doing that, just keep connecting to that love and light. Okay, as you finish tapping, put your hands on your heart center and connect to yourself. Connect to how it was for you, the tapping, what has come up. What about the intensity of that overwhelm we started to tap on? So I started with 8, and now that overwhelm has gone down right to the bottom, so there might still be a little bit left. And if there is still a little bit of left, just continue tapping. Tap in the next round or tap another day. Very often when I'm helping people to achieve their goals, they set themselves up for failure because what they do is they're too hard on themselves, and the goals they set themselves are just too large. And so I said, well, look, break these in small little bits, because if we are able to break things down into small achievable goals, then we'll be able to achieve that much better than if we set ourselves too many targets. So yeah, I mean, another, sometimes people keep setting themselves so many goals and targets, and they become kind of workaholic, because again, that's their way of avoiding getting to the bottom. If they put up all these busyness and stuff like that. So, if you become, if you don't even have time to sit down and rest and kind of be mindful, which is what, this EFT is helping us to do, to connect to ourselves, because then once we are able to be rather than do and connect to ourselves, we'll be far more productive. I'm learning that myself. I used to be very workaholic, but then I have burnt myself out. And so if we burn ourselves, if we kind of collapse and can't go on, then we won't be able to achieve our goals. So this is something I've learned to do over the years, to connect to myself, and not to I have to do this, I have to do that. And it's the same with like if I was looking forward to something in the past and then it did not happen, I was sad. And I even feel that as we are here already in the second year of the pandemic, when I reflect on that, I think there was a need for all of us to slow down and to look for that light inside of us. Because in our culture, we have become too competitive, and we have forgotten about what's at the core of us, what's in the heart. And so I really think, that everything happens for a reason. One of my friends who sadly passed away because of cancer, she had breast cancer, but she would always say to me, everything happens for a reason. And, I didn't want to believe it then, but then now I do believe it. So as I'm connected to myself, it was so much easier for me to cope with the isolation of the pandemic, with all the kind of changes which happen from day to day. Once I find the love and light inside me, it's all great. So I wish you the same. I wish you, so you can also find the light inside you. EFT can help you. Remember, you don't have to do it all in one day. The new year is not just one day. I think it's 365 days. So take it easy. Break down your goals into small achievable goals. I set myself 2 years ago a New Year's resolution which I couldn't complete, in that 1 year. So I spread it into 5 years, and I'm in my second year, and I give myself credit for the things that I've achieved this year. Even though, you know, my expectation could be for more, I'm grateful for that little things. Yeah, if you come from a place of gratefulness and appreciate things, even the little things around you, then you'll start to see changes for the better as well. Okay, once again, thanks a lot for watching my video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next year with my other new videos which I will be planning. Bye for now.